Good day, ma'am. This is Rovica Catad from BSHM2B, and I will be reporting the Chapter 9 of Business Organization and Management entitled Organization of Personnel. The most complicated problem of business is people. Technical processes may be mastered, requirements of materials may be correctly figured, plants and offices may be built according to required specifications, and intricate machines may be devised to perform with accuracy, but if the human elements in business are disregarded, trouble is ahead. Human beings essentially differ from each other. They cannot be standardized like inanimate things. They are dynamic, not static, and the most certain thing about people is their uncertainty. The basic personnel problem. The basic problem about personnel is that the employer has work to be done. The employee wants to receive for his work enough money to live according to the standard of living as established for himself. When the employer has to pay too much to get the work done, the increased cost will be reflected in the higher price of the finished product to the point of diminishing orders from customers. On the other hand, if the employee cannot get the money that he thinks he is worth, he will leave the job or look for another job elsewhere. Increasing the efficiency of the workers. The desire of the employer to bring down his cost of production and the desire of the employee to have adequate returns from his efforts are two economic objectives acting opposite each other and which must have to be reconciled. Both objectives may be attained by increasing the efficiency of the workers. This simply means making it possible for an employee to accomplish more work with less effort and in less time. In successful personnel organization and administration, there are 6 main factors involved, namely analysis of the job, selection and testing of applicants, induction and training, supervision and personal actions in the work process, providing an incentive together with wage administration, and cooperation between the labor and management. Analysis of the job. The term job analysis has long had two recognized meanings with the corresponding objectives. The first is that analysis of the job applies to the more or less superficial study of each job or work satisfactorily. The resulting information is summarized in a job specification, which is used in selecting applicants for employment. The objective is to make it possible for the interviewer to match more intelligently the applicant's qualifications with the requirement of the job. The second is that job analysis means the improvement of the method of doing the work. This is more dissecting the work rather than describing it. In this kind of analysis, the first step is to determine whether the work is really necessary. If the work can be eliminated, therefore, no more time is needed to spend on it. Elimination of unnecessary work is considered the first technical step in any improvement program. If the work is found to be necessary, the next step is to examine everything connected with the job, starting with the purpose of the work, the materials and equipment used, the condition under which the work is done after using motion analysis as a background. Time study. The purpose of time study, as distinguished from motion analysis, is to determine the time required to perform each element in the operation, each operation in the job, and the job itself. There are 2 reasons for time study. The first is to provide a basis for comparing performance of the same job and to establish a standard time for doing the work. An important consideration in this regard are the variation as to time and as to the cost. One thing to remember is that any variation from the standard operation must be eliminated or minimized provided, of course, that conditions are standardized. The second is to make possible the payment of workers on a production basis or on the basis of output. For instance, if a worker is paid 1 peso an hour per stated output per hour, with a bonus of each additional accomplishment per hour, he is being paid for what he actually does, not simply for a stated amount of time put in it. This condition provides a strong incentive to effective work, provided that the rates are set fairly to begin with, and provided further that once the rate is set, it will not be changed for any reason except a change in method. Selection and testing of applicants. The selection of the persons that best fitted to do the work involves finding the sources of desirable applicants, followed by interviewing, testing, and choosing from those available the ones who most nearly have the required qualifications. Sources of applicants. The science and art of employment and recruiting is not as highly developed in the Philippines as in industrialized countries. The fact that almost 10% of the labor force is unemployed or seriously underemployed results in an abundance or oversupply of laborers, clerks, and certain types of personnel like lawyers. The selection procedure. This involves a sequence of functions adopted in a given case for the purpose of ascertaining whether or not candidates possess the qualifications called by a specific job. In some cases, the qualifications of a progression of jobs are considered when promotional possibilities are of importance. This hiring procedure cannot be effectively placed in operation until three major steps have been taken. Requirements of the job to be filled have been specified. Qualifications workers must possess have been specified, and candidates for screening have been recruited. After the foregoing steps have been taken, it is then the purpose of selection to match the qualifications of candidates with the requirements of the job. Undesirable candidates are screened out and the qualified retained. Selection. The selection of promising candidates from a group of applicants is not easy. Certain facts or features such as sex, age, schooling, and previous employment are readily ascertained and checked. On the other hand, the intangibles are the ones that make the choice difficult. Testing ability and aptitude. In addition to the factors considered in judging the applicants, it is desirable to find two other things: whether the applicant has any disease or tendency to disease, which might spread among other employees or which might interfere with his own work sooner or later. This is done through a medical examination. And the applicant's present level of knowledge, ability, and intelligence with respect to the work contemplated. This is done through test. Induction and training. Induction is the procedure set for introducing new employees and orienting him in the company as a whole. Its importance cannot be overemphasized, that the happiness of the new employee and the effectiveness of his work depends upon the thoroughness with which induction is carried, as for instance, in the new employee's getting a good start. A simple way of induction is showing the employee where to work and making him acquainted with nearby employees. The stage of induction should take into account two major aspects: acquainting the new employee with his new surroundings and its rules and regulations, and indoctrinating him in the philosophy of the company and its reason for existence. More companies build their programs around the first of these aspects than the second. Nevertheless, an appreciation for the importance of indoctrination is growing. Purpose of induction. One of the purposes of induction is to give the new employees information about the company and the requirements of and the facilities provided for the employees. Such information includes working hours, rate of pay, pay days, absences and tardiness requirements, vacations, special facilities, and the like. Training procedure. In the conduct of training, it is not just enough to tell the new employee to do his work. Frequently, he has to be shown. The demonstration should be handled clearly so that the worker can easily understand and follow each step. If written standard practice instructions are available, the employee should be furnished copies so that he could study before attempting to work. Such instructions should be simple and clear so that the meaning could be easily understood. One of the first things us instructors must learn is to have patience with the trainee who is earnestly trying to learn. Some authorities put the entire burden on the instruction in the statement which says, "If the worker hasn't learned, the instructor hasn't taught." Different steps in training. Be sure that the new employee understands what you have in mind. Show him carefully what you want to be done, using patience, going into details, and explaining the importance of each step. Have him watch someone perform the work and let him ask questions. Review the instructions. Then let him practice the work under direct supervision, slowly at first. This is the time to correct false moves with patient explanation. Let him continue to practice until he has mastered the correct method. Review the instructions again, and let him get more practice, gaining proficiency constantly until his output approaches the standard set for the work. Training is not limited to the new employee. Old employees have to be retrained or prepared for promotions. As continuing training program for employees, supervisors, and executives is a regular feature of many companies today. Internship training. This refers to a joint program of training in which schools and business cooperate. Selected students carry on regular school studies for periods ranging from 3 to 9 months and then work in some factory or office for a designated period of time, alternating in this fashion until the course is completed and the student is ready to accept permanent employment. The training is usually conducted in connection with highly skilled or professional types of training. Learner training. During periods of heavy demand for and short supplies of semi-skilled labor, industry is faced with the task of training green hands or learners. The learners usually receive a program of education and training. Supervision. Supervision has its object the rendering of assistance to a worker so that he may make the most of his time and effort. It is basically to direct the activities and to develop the worker. The following are the functions of supervision or responsibilities of a supervisor. The supervisor gives help and encouragement to any worker who may need it. He teaches the worker the correct way to do the work and patiently watches him until he has mastered it. The supervisor sees that the work is supplied to the worker when and as it is needed. He sees that the work is turned out according to schedules and to settle differences as they arise and thus keep order within the unit in addition to cooperative responsibilities. The supervisor's job is to see to it that the work is done. He is closest to the performance of actual work. Providing an incentive. An incentive is a stimulus to action. It affords strong encouragement to an objective. Its value lies in the fact that no one generally does anything without an incentive. People will usually carry on as far as they think worthwhile and then stop unless a further incentive appears. Money or the hope of reward is a powerful incentive. Pride of accomplishment, the hope of praise for promotion, the satisfaction of working under pleasant conditions, and many other non-financial incentives are often effective. Everyone, however, is not equally responsive to the same incentive. This reason explains why some incentive plans work sometimes and not at the other times. Wage administration. It is an integral part of the work of personnel administration. Wage structures have to be set up. Employees must be paid according to their performance. Desirable employees must be attracted to enter the company, and ones inside must be encouraged to remain. From the point of view of the company, it must also avoid excessive wage payments. It needs wage structures as a sound basis for budget estimates and to simplify the collective bargaining process. Wage payments may be on time basis. Thus, wages may be paid according to the number of hours or days worked. A salary may be paid on a monthly basis. Payments may also be on an output basis. Piecework is an example. An employee is paid according to the number of units he or his group completes, or a fixed time may be set for a fixed unit of output. If output is completed in less time, incentive payments may be given. Other incentives. Certain employee privileges and fringe benefits are intended to serve both as incentives and also as instances of labor and management cooperation. As such, they should grow out of the normal work situation and as far as practicable be actively participated in by the employees themselves. These incentives and labor management cooperation activities are extra payments for time work. These include extra pay for work performed during holidays, overtime pay, and cost of living allowance. Payments for time not worked. This includes sick leave, military leave, maternity leave, rest and break periods, vacation leave, and commutable transportation and representation allowance. Payments for employee security. The company either pays or contributes for Social Security, workmen's compensation, retirement plans, insurance pensions, credit unions, health and welfare funds, and similar projects for employee security. Non-production awards and bonuses. These include the Christmas bonus, anniversary bonus, safety bonus, birth award, 10, 20, 30, 40, or 50-year awards, either in cash, gold watches, or other gifts. Employee services. These cover a wide field and include the provision by the employer for the employees of a cafeteria, beauty parlor, athletic team, company housing, company store, and more. Cooperation between labor and management. The approach used toward this end is through the organization of labor management cooperation committees for the entire plant, the duties of which are chiefly the formulation of general policies, coordination, and supervision. This is further extended into subcommittees which deal with specialized activities such as safety and training. Other types of labor management cooperation can take the form of suggestion systems, profit sharing, and consultative supervision. Other personnel actions. Other personnel actions may take to the form of promotions, transfers, disciplinary actions, and separations. Scope of transfers and promotions. The primary purpose of a transfer or promotion is to increase the effectiveness of the organization in attaining its service and profit objectives. When an employee is placed in a position in which he can be most productive, chances for successful results of the organization for which he works are consequently increased. It should be the aim, therefore, of any company to change positions of employees as soon as their capacities increases and vacancies warrant. Disciplinary action. This term refers to that phase of management's work which has to do when the employee is at fault. Since it has the implication of penalties and since dealing out penalties is full of dangerous possibilities, management must be fully aware of when, how, to whom, and why the disciplinary action should be taken. Disciplinary actions are generally preceded by corrective action. In all cases, primary responsibility rests with the line supervisors, but the personnel department or staff helps formulate company policy in matters of discipline and renders staff assistance to the operating departments. Separations may be voluntary or involuntary. Voluntary separations or resignations proceed according to the establishment personnel procedures. There should be advance notice. The personnel director or his assistants conducts exit interviews, finding out the reasons for the employees voluntarily leaving the company, and formulating plans on how waste of valuable personnel, hiring and training expenses could be minimized or avoided. Attention is also given to clearance, payroll termination, and separation benefits. Involuntary separations may be for economic reasons, disciplinary reasons, incompetence, or retirement. Separation or dismissal as a disciplinary actions calls for personnel policies whereby the separated employee knows fully and has had the opportunities to discuss the reasons for the dismissal. There should be a careful analysis of facts and an review procedure. Personnel management is responsible for ensuring that the organizational structure of employees meets the business needs, both now and in the future. Good personnel management is responsible for creating and maintaining a harmonious working environment. This includes ensuring that the compensation and benefits strategy for the business encourages success, employee disciplinary and grievance procedures, effective communication, and solid health and safety policies. The management of any organizational unit or department, marketing, finance, accounting, or production involves the accomplishment of objectives through the use of the skills and talents of people. The personnel management is considered both a line management responsibility and a staff function. In any type of organization, large, medium, or small, human resources must be recruited, compensated, developed, and motivated, and performance appraisal must be finalized and implemented by the managers. Thank you for watching.